Welcome back to Morning Express. We're glad you're watching. It is the 28th of January, 7 or 8 a.m. And two gentlemen with me on set, ready to go on LSK elections coming up on the 6th of February, just a few days away. The legal fraternity in the country comes together to vote for who they want to fill these positions. But of course, there are those who fielded themselves, and two candidates for the chairmanship position. In studio with me, Ambros, Weda, Charles Kanjama. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Is it too late to say Happy New Year? No, it's not. No. So you both want to be chairman. That's it's a serious, important position. It is a person we get to hear talk about, you know, and represent the legal fraternity in the country and weigh in on very important issues on behalf of the lawyers. But we'll begin with you, Charles. Why do you think you should be elected LSK chair?
Sophia, first, I think it is a time for a new beginning in the LSK fraternity. I think every 2 years when we've had elections, we have a long and proud tradition as the Law Society of Kenya of changing our top leadership with the idea that we want to give another person an opportunity to come and spend 2 years really committed to improving the welfare of members, focusing on practice matters, have a keen interest in matters of members' participation. And I think this is an area where there has been very little effort to have improvement. And then I'm also very committed to the idea of financial probity. I think it is long overdue that the Law Society of Kenya is able to acquire more funds, use them more efficiently to benefit the members. The members are asking, we pay a lot of money every year. What are the services we get commensurate to this? And then finally, I'm very keen on ensuring that there's a firm, balanced and non-partisan voice when LSK intervenes in matters legal and constitutional. I bring also the idea of youth. I think I'm young compared to my candidates, my competitors, and I think I understand best the ideas that, or the issues that concern youth. I'm a very keen practitioner. I'm in the courts almost every day during the High Court term, and for me that is the key thing that the LSK chairman needs to focus on. Okay.
And Mr. Ambros Weda, why do you believe you're the good man for the job?
Yes. I think as a law society, we have done very well outside. Internally, we are actually rotting. Do you understand?
Yes.
We have leaks going inside, and slowly as a profession we are dying. I would like to address number one. You will find that the Kenyan economy is now 1.4 trillion shillings.
Yes.
Therefore, the biggest source of legal briefs is the Kenya government. Now we are about 10,000 lawyers. The work from the public institutions are actually handled by 5% of Kenyan lawyers. I would like to clamor for and ensure we have legislation that brings in equity so that legal work from the public institutions serve the 95% of law firms in this country.
Right.
That is one. Number two, as we talk today, the lowest paid lawyer earns 20,000. That is not counting those who are not employed. These are internal leaks because internally things are not going on very well. We have our branches. They are weak, and I would like to have them strengthened so that they're able to absorb the many, many, many students that are coming out of law school. Now, these students, even getting places to do pupillage is now a problem. Lawyers are sent to go and buy milk by their colleagues. We do not have a structure. So outside we look very beautiful. But inside you hear people saying, look, the moment you mention you're a lawyer, people just want to stone you.
Yes.
They think they are seeing a thief. They think they can trust you. Issues of discipline. Now, you look at it, you find that as we talk outside, today as we agitate as lawyers, the best way to make us keep quiet, and they use it quite often, they tell you, we will vet you. Then we keep quiet. Now, I would like us to clean internally I want us to look through questions of discipline.
So you think vetting should happen for lawyers?
Now, vetting it is a wide thing. The first that has been the vetting of judges, and the first that I see is the vetting of the police officers. Lawyers are regularly vetted through the disciplinary process, which I have had the privilege of sitting in for the last 5 years.
Okay.
What we'll need internally is training, counseling, okay? Being each brother and sister's keeper, and occasionally those who go extreme, we tackle them hard. And then we'll also look at the question of basic minimum working conditions.
Yes.
I've told you a lawyer earns 20,000 now. And then you find that internally, some people are saying they should build an arbitration center where the same lawyers who are earning 20,000 will be paying 52,000. So we have done well outside, but if we do not address the internal leaks, then in another 10 years, the law society of Kenya will crumble. I want to deal with that. Once we are inside, the soul is strong, and we are doing well, then we can now leave it to my younger brothers like Kanjama to now fight outside.
Continue with the work.
Continue with the work. But the internal cleaning requires a fairly experienced hand, somebody who's good in training, somebody who understands, somebody who knows this. That is why I need an opportunity to serve inside and see. And I will repair the leaks.
Okay, you'll repair the leaks, the man for the leaks. We want to extend an invitation for you to be part of this discussion. Our phone lines, our numbers will be scrolling on your screen. You can call in a question or a comment you may have, share with us, and also you can tweet me at Sophia Wanuna. And also just to say that we did extend an invitation to Eric Mutua, who's the incumbent chairperson of the LSK. He's also seeking re-election. He was, however, unavailable for the interview. Did indicate he is on the campaign train. He's in Mombasa seeking to make sure he gets those votes for the chairmanship of the Law Society of Kenya. So share with us your views, call in. It will be good to hear from you. Kanjama, many people, you know, once in a while will get to hear the chairperson of the Law Society of Kenya weigh in on one topic or the other. But for the body and for those who may not understand, what is the role of the LSK, the Law Society of Kenya, of this legal fraternity? When you fall under that umbrella body and for your members, what is it envisioned to achieve or do for the country?
Basically, Sophia, we can say the Law Society of Kenya has a dual role, a dual mandate, and this is found under the Law Society of Kenya Act.
Yes.
First and most importantly, primarily, the Law Society of Kenya is a professional association of all lawyers in Kenya.
Yes.
All practicing lawyers are required. They are obliged to take out a practicing certificate every year, pay some fees. They expect the Law Society of Kenya to regulate the profession.
Yes.
Not just to regulate internally, as my colleague has mentioned, but also to advance the interests of the profession. When, for example, we have inadequate number of judges, when, for example, the registries, lands registry, court registries are functioning poorly, the Law Society of Kenya has to be out there advancing the interests of members. And this has to be done not in an episodic way, but continuously and consistently. And that is what I feel, as having been a member of the council, we have tended not to do very well. We need improvement in that area. We need a clear seismic shift so that there is a continuous and consistent commitment to these practice issues, to matters of members' welfare. Then the second role of the Law Society of Kenya as a statutory body is to advise the public, the government, and other members of society or stakeholders on matters touching on the law and the constitution. In other words, the Law Society of Kenya is an important stakeholder in matters legal and constitutional.
Right.
Sometimes this is perceived as the political role of LSK, and it is very important that LSK remains non-partisan. LSK remains balanced and objective, that the person who becomes chairman of LSK cannot be compromised or labeled as belonging to one coalition or another. And this role is not the primary role of LSK. As my colleague has mentioned, if internally there is a problem in the society, even if the society looks bright on the outside, you need to solve the internal problems first. There are so many lawyers coming into the Law Society right now. Every year we have over 1,000, or about 1,000. So we need to do something about that. But those really are the two roles, basic roles of the Law Society of Kenya.
And you've talked about something very important, non-partisan, that the person taking over this position. And critics have argued, Mr. Weda,
yes,
that you would be seen to be as part or leaning towards the establishment in the nomination or in your appointment to be part of the tribunal,
yes, yes,
that was to look into the JSC,
yes,
membership. There were all those kind of questions raised. Would you say you're non-partisan?
I will tell you this. In discharging my duties as chairman of the Law Society, I have myself, my name, and my future, and the ability and the intention to succeed. You can only succeed if the job is done well. To do that job well, you must be fair, truthful, honest, and non-partisan. But I am a man who I can tell you is bold, and I take risks. Now it can be seen that I am with the establishment because the president picked upon me to do what is called a surgery at the Judicial Service Commission. Now, earlier, when I had sided with the president, when he was still not a president,
yes,
you should see that where I come from was exclusively the other side. I come from Kisumu. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, I said we cannot have a country where the Luos are on one side, the Kikuyus are on the other, the Merus are on the other. I said, for me, I will be on this side for balance. Now, that is an act of boldness. To be with the Uru and Luo, to be with the Uru is an act of boldness.
But
that should show
partisan.
the members.
It is not partisan?
You
to
see,
be on that side?
Listen, let me tell you, when the country goes through decisive moments, when hard decisions ought to be taken, you need a leader who will take decisions. You do not need people who will hide behind, I'm non-partisan. I am a believer that I could be wrong, but I will never be wrong on taking a decision.
Okay.
So as chairman, I will not be partisan. I will be a chairman that my policy would be constructive engagement. If the president is right, I'll say, Your Excellency, my friend, you have done well. If he breaches the Constitution, I will write to him, I will call him, I will tell him, Your Excellency, this one, the law is not with you, can you retreat? Because he's not a lawyer. Are
you convinced that would happen, Kanjama, in such a situation?
I don't think it is for me to judge my candidates. I think all of us, my competitors, all of us are putting forward our candidatures to be judged by the members of the public.
Right.
What I want to say is that for myself, as a regular commentator in the media, I have demonstrated a track record of objectivity and consistency. Let me make it clear, Sophia, that even in the past, before the elections, during, after, I've been approached by people who want me to join a particular political affiliation or the other. And I've told them that, look, because I sit in the council, because I'm a media commentator and I feel there's a real need for me to be genuine, balanced, firm and nonpartisan, I cannot take sides.
Yes.
And I have really strived to live according to that motto. I've also tried to be very firm. So I think that a track record helps in this issue. And I believe that of the three candidatures or the three candidates, I have the best track record in terms of ensuring
neutral,
that I'm neither associated with one side or the other, at least as much as possible, to be balanced and when I need to be to hit out on one political side or the other, to do so. Yeah, so I think that is very important.
That is important, and we'll continue with that in as far as political engagement and where the Law Society's voice comes in. But let's take a call from Paul, who's in Nairobi. Paul, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for calling in. You have a question or a comment?
I have a question that I wanted to ask the lawyer Kanjama.
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, I wanted to ask if you become the chair of the Law Society, what do you have the capacity to the government on check, showing that you've got a soft spot for the government in power? Will you be able to point the board to the tiny government?
Kindly take your question again, Paul. We didn't get it very clearly.
My question goes to the lawyer Kanjama.
Yes.
If he's going to be elected as the chair, will you have the capacity to put the government in check, knowing that you have a soft spot for the government in power? Will you be able to point out the fault?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul, for calling in. So if you do get the position, will we be able to keep the government in check? And of course, this coming at a time when there's so many controversial issues in as far as the decisions being made by government, appointments and all. Would you be able to have that strong voice?
I want to begin by thanking Paul for that question. I think I have demonstrated, even through my media engagements, that I am always very ready to fight the battle for integrity. That as far as the battle of integrity is concerned, I have no soft spot for anyone. My only soft spot is for anyone who is in support of integrity.
Yeah.
For example, right now, we are already beginning to hear a whiff of scandal in regard to certain projects, mega projects that the government is engaging in. And I can assure you, I can assure Paul and actually those who know me, who have worked with me in the legal profession, who have dealt with me in other areas, know that in matters of integrity, I cannot be compromised. And I would take a very strong and firm position. This has been my track record all along. So I think for anyone who may have been persuaded, probably by some people, that Kanjama is soft on these matters, he should know that we don't come stronger than my attitude on these matters of integrity.
Okay.
And when I need to speak out loudly, I will. I have done so. I mean, I have a track record. I don't fear the media. The media call me. I'm always ready to give a comment. And that is what I hope and intend to accomplish if the members of the Law Society have confidence in my candidature and elect me as the next chair.
Weda, in terms of the society weighing in on the political matters of the day, is that because we had conservatives at some point suing the LSK, the argument being that they should not be commenting on matters politics and they should not be in a position to, those two should be should be separate, politics and matters law, that constitution and politicking should not go on the same road. What are your thoughts?
Now, my thoughts are this. The various roles of the Law Society. One is to take a position and advise the public, including the government, on various aspects, the correct position of the law, especially when they get it wrong. That role has to be played. It has to continue. Even if I was the president, I would still expect the Law Society to tell me, Mr. President, here you are wrong. And I would not look at I would look at a situation where your friend is in power. Would you allow him to do mistakes? You tell him, no, the law is this, let us follow the law. That role has to continue. But some people they push their political agenda under the guise of advising the public. You saw the last time petition number 5, Raila Odinga's petition, the Law Society and our current chair applied to be joined as a Mirko Askuria, a friend of the court. And it was a heftily argued application. The Supreme Court of the Republic of Kenya said, no, you people are partisan. You have actually filed affidavit in support of one side, therefore you can't. That is the political side. And Mirko Askuria at that point would have told them, if you want to decide this petition correctly, decide it like this. So it is easier to say, I'm non-partisan. But outside, it's the politics that now some members say, please stop this. Immediately they are given the privilege and the honor to serve as the Law Society. My political issues will be aside for the 2 years, and I'll do a legacy that when you look at it, you say, wow, Weda did a good job. I serve in the Advocates Disciplinary Committee.
Okay. Let's take a call before we continue on that. We have Stephen on the line. Stephen from Kakamega, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Thank you for calling. Share with us your question or comment, please.
Hey, just a question for both the two candidates. I would like them to come out very clearly, both of them, in the event that either of them becomes the chairperson. Where do they see this LSK in the next 5 years?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen, for your question. I understand you also have Mohammed. Mohammed, good morning. Mohammed? We have lost Mohammed, but please do call back. Thank you, Stephen. And you do continue on your point before we go to Stephen's question. You were saying?
Yeah, I was saying that other than what we say generally that I am neutral, the action we take, people know and they will tell you this one. I've served in the Advocacy Disciplinary Committee. All for people from all sides of the political divide, they appear before me. They can tell you Weda is one of the most neutral, the most pleasant judge.
But why were people a lot of uproar, there's a lot of noise made when this committee was put together? Because people already felt that in that, the people, you being one of them as part of that tribunal, was already leaning on one side. There was no confidence inspired by that, because already those criticizing the move felt that you are clearly on one side. So whilst you say actions speak louder than word, already the confidence...
I think some of their views were very genuine.
Yes.
In this sense.
Okay.
The committee came in through a political process. The former registrar of the judiciary went to Parliament. Parliament very quickly investigated and said, remove these people. The president, I think, had to make a choice to side with Parliament. You look at which side of the knife is sharper. You disagree with Parliament today, they'll wait for you tomorrow. So he said, look, I think let me side with Parliament and let me get these people to work. Now, then Weda got himself in company that was high octane. Why do I say so? My chairman was supposed to be my chairman, and my friend on Justice, Aaron Rengera, who was also my teacher in the university, had actually earlier applied to the Judicial Service Commission as a judge, to be a judge of the Supreme Court, or I think the Supreme Court. Strangely, I think it was not shortlisted.
Yes.
And having been a professor at the university, I think he felt slighted. Then there were altercations. He said he would sue them, okay? And then said, one of the commissioners said, it's not your birthright to be shortlisted.
But so that was on him.
Yes, now that altercations, what it therefore means that when he was going, people perceived that if he was now going to be the high priest, where you are chopping the same JSC, the decisions had already been made. Nobody asked me my views. Nobody even thought. I had no qualms with the job at hand. But then the public view at that time was that we were already decided.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Perhaps because you've represented the president before?
Oh yes.
Yes.
So, all these views did not mean that when I sit now to hear and say, gentlemen, what wrong did they do? And you put your case. Because as a judge or as a committee or as a person, every act you take, every action you take goes into your stock of history. So that one day, I also want to ascend to be president of this country. One day when I say I want, they say, hey, Weda, he aliwekwa pale, he did this. I would like also to have a clean, good record.
Okay, so you believe your actions would vindicate you in as far as...
Yes, I wish they tried me. They would have seen what I do and they say, wow, we were doubting Weda, kumbe Weda is this good.
I understand we now have Mohammed from Isiolo. Let's take that before we come to you, Kanjama. Mohammed, good morning.
Morning, Sophia. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for calling. Share with us your question or comment.
Yes, what I wanted to say is that in LSK, Law Society of Kenya, we need an independent and a bold, decisive chairman who is not politically inclined to any other party. Yes. Because as you see, right now we've got the problem of standard railway gauge. And you find that the problem that we are facing, that is concession. And the Public Procurement and Disposal Act of 2005 was not used during that time. It means that those people did that. They did that because they did not follow the laws, and yet the act was made by Parliament. So if we cannot follow the laws, at the end of the day, we call it direct to government procurement, which is not the case. As a procurement maybe officer or somebody in that field, I find that the law was not clearly followed. But when a cabinet secretary comes there or any other person says that this is direct to direct government and the law is clear, the constitution is clear, they are using section 6 of the Public Procurement Disposal Act. Yet the act has been made by the Constitution, which is Article 227, Part 1. It talks about when the government wants to tender any maybe for contract for any services or goods. What they do, it has to be fair, transparent and competitive. The Constitution is supreme. Yes. So in a nutshell, when you are going to maybe what is important is that the law is clear, and we need somebody who is bold, who is going to advise and tell the government the truth, not somebody who is maybe compromising.
All right.
So we need people like Kanjama and the rest, regardless of where they are coming from.
Okay.
And this is the thing, because these are the people who are going to set the tone clear, so that in Isiolo we do not lose maybe there is dubious contracts, and at the end of the day somebody comes and contribute for that.
Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you so much for articulating very clearly some of those challenges that need a very strong candidate, one that, as you said, independent and is not swayed to one side or the other. I believe we have another caller online, Anthony. And we have lost Anthony, but we'll get him back. Thank you. Keep calling. Keep them coming. Kanjama, you seem to have gotten a person who's very excited about you. But I want to read something. We went through the press review this morning, and one of the stories on the Star today on page 3 is talking about failure by 2 Law Society of Kenya Council members to sign a common charter last year has come back to haunt them as they seek elective positions for next month's poll. So council members, yourself and Faith Waigwa, did not sign the charter adopted on June 10th last year, binding the members to uphold values of professionalism, accountability, integrity, transparency, and gender equity. So is it correct that you did not sign that?
Yes, it is correct, Sophia. And actually, I must say, I was quite surprised when I saw the issue of the council charter, which was being treated as confidential council business, being brought out in the media, because I thought that those who have leaked the charter are themselves in contravention of the charter, because the charter was meant to uphold integrity. Actually, the interesting thing, Sophia, now that it has come out in public, is that the day this charter was signed, I was the one who was complaining in the council meeting, in any other business, that look, there are some members, a few members of the council who are not upholding integrity, and I gave examples. And then the council charter was brought for signing, and I insisted that, look, we had agreed that we need to amend the council charter, especially the code of conduct. Because you see, council members are not full-time members of the Law Society of Kenya Council. We just attend part-time meetings. Our main job is as professionals. And so it is very important that the council charter is drawn in such a way that it does not restrict the ability of members to engage in their professional business. So we had made proposals for amendment, and unfortunately those proposals, in the rush of the moment, were not considered. And personally, my approach, which is an approach of integrity, is that I don't sign any document unless I'm committed and I'm convinced that it is a document that is possible to uphold, not just for myself, but for all the other parties signing. So I think there is a problem with this article, which is attributing political motive to the decision not to sign the charter. I think the article has been done in extremely bad faith, and I'll be this morning writing to the Star to set the record straight. What I want to make clear is that in terms of matters of balance in the council, I have been one of the strong supporters of the need to have people with different political persuasions present in the council. But in terms of the chairman and the vice chairman, it is critical that you get somebody who will not take a position, will not take a political position or partisan position, will not just say that they are neutral. They will be neutral. Neutrality doesn't mean keeping quiet when you need to speak. It means being consistent in focusing on the objective issues and not being predictable by going to one side all the time or to the other side all the time. So I had very good reasons why I said that, look, even though I'm bound by the standards of integrity, I will not sign this particular document. If I was to become chairman, as I hope I will get the support of members, one of the things I will do is I'll ensure that there is a clear council charter that is published to the membership, that is a subject of participation of the membership. And once it is signed, it binds the council members for purposes of ensuring unity and efficiency in conduct of council business. All right, let's
speak to Anthony now. Anthony, good morning.
Morning, Sophia. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for calling. Your question, please.
Morning, gentlemen.
Yes.
First, I'd like to ask Mr. Weda. I know for a fact that he's really been passionate about land issues. And I know he's a good friend to the chair, Professor Tazuri, and considering what is happening in the Ministry of Land, when the issue of partisan, the same line of partisan issues,
Yes.
how then would he be in a position to speak about what is happening in the Ministry of Land without being partisan? And two, I'd like to ask the both gentlemen, what are their thoughts in terms of the legal profession? Ahmed Nasir has been on record to say that the graduates that are coming out from our universities are half-baked. I don't know what their plans would be once they become chairman of LSK. Thank you, Sophia, and have a good day.
Thank you so much, Anthony, for calling in. We appreciate you taking the time to do so. Mr. Weda, the question of lands, I don't know.
Let me tackle the two
clearly.
issues
Yes.
about the half-baked people coming from the university.
Right.
I do not think that those who come from the university are half-baked.
Okay.
What I think is that the moment they leave the university, they're supposed to be received by the Law Society.
Right.
So that we tutor them. Now that is where we have failed.
All right.
The Law Society, other than addressing the press and addressing the TVs, we do not know the number of students coming out, where they are going to do pupillage, mentoring them,
Right.
forcing me, as I talk now, I have written a book called The ID Lawyer.
Yes.
Just part of the mentorship program, so that you read it. Now that, under my guard as chairman, I would like us to register all the law firms. I would like us to ensure that each law firm, we know the number of vacancies that are there for pupillage. We
Yes.
know the number of people. And then we have guidelines on what is called pupillage. What is the duty of the pupil? What is the duty of the mentor? What is the duty of the person mentoring the student? So that you don't find yourself doing pupillage under a lawyer who does not have an office and is carrying a briefcase. Then at the end of the day, he signs for you that you are finished. You know nothing. That is the quality of training coming up.
Right.
Is the problem after they leave law school. I also propose that we need, as a profession, have what is called a Law Society of Kenya Training Institute, where we go for refresher courses, where we abridge as we move, as the world changes. Now, on the question of land, land is everything. The Kenyan economy is property driven. It is land driven. It's one of the most sensitive things. We fought in 2007, land. We fought earlier, the Kayabombo, the whatever, land. The land issue is very, very critical.
Okay.
I think that this is a question that requires very constructive engagement.
All right.
This is not where you decide, I am supporting the Minister for Lands or I'm against. They must deal with the issue. The Constitution is clear. I would tell the President, I would tell everybody that the land question must be dealt with in accordance with the law. Otherwise, we fail to do it, there will be blood flowing in the streets.
All right. Kanjama, back to Stephen's question in where the Law Society of Kenya will be in the next 5 years. And also the face of the society being elsewhere in terms of around the country, away from Nairobi just, because now we are seeing very many of you going out to seek those votes. But there's also been concern that we just have that vibrancy here in Nairobi. But the whole country needs to have that kind of feel and that kind of relation, people getting to hear and have their issues articulated as well at the county level.
Sophia, those are good questions, and let me begin by saying this, that I remember many years back when I first made the decision of joining this profession, this noble and learned profession, which I really admire. I heard people saying that the law society or the legal profession already was flooded. It was already full. There were too many lawyers. And right now, because I'm in academia as well, I also teach. The students come to me worried and ask me, are there too many lawyers? And I think what is happening is that if you look at the legal profession in terms of the traditional approach to practice, you may get that idea that there are too many lawyers. And probably it is because some people think there are too many lawyers, that they have put in place hurdles and obstacles for young lawyers who are coming in, who don't feel welcomed into the profession. My belief is that the legal profession needs to grow so that it can serve the society, which is becoming more sophisticated business-wise and so on. And if the law profession grows in that nature, we'll discover actually there are too few lawyers. We need more lawyers, but we need to trigger the lawyers to get out into business and into society to do all kinds of things in terms of serving the society, which is what lawyers do. I feel there's been a big weakness here. Young lawyers, many of them are suffering because they feel it. Even older lawyers, especially those in small firms, private practice, they also feel that they are restrained by traditional methods of practice. So to answer the question of where I see the legal profession in 5 years from now, first of all, I see the legal profession, if it is given to the stewardship of somebody who's driven by the need to transform the law society and make it adapt to the needs of the modern world, I see the legal profession as one which is more sophisticated than other professions like accountancy, like medical profession. I see the legal profession as having people who are specialized, who are serving business and society in all kinds of areas, be it family, be it commercial. I see the legal profession as one which is devolved.
Yes.
And the LSK bill, to come to your second question, already proposes to devolve the law society into 8 branches. And my proposal is that in addition to the 8 branches, to have sub-branches going further to the roots. Right now we have 75% of practicing lawyers practicing in Nairobi. So there is a very big concentration of practice in Nairobi. Partly it is because probably an equal proportion of the economy of Kenya is being driven from Nairobi. And lawyers go to serve people who are carrying out economic activity and of course also social relations. That is why you have family law. But I think that as we get more lawyers, we'll need to have more lawyers going to the counties and those who remain in Nairobi being facilitated. And therefore, one of my really, I could call it matters that I'm very interested in is the issue of the Nairobi branch. I'm also very keen, apart from setting up a Nairobi branch which doesn't exist, to have constituent bar associations. For example, family lawyers have issues that concern them and other lawyers may not be as concerned about those issues. So they should be taught to interact and to come together and build that specialization. Lawyers in criminal law practice, lawyers in commercial practice, lawyers in corporate sector. There are so many, in fact, they're almost half. And you'll notice that even as we are talking about what lawyers should do, we tend to focus on matters of practitioners. People go to court or deal with conveyancing and commercial work in law firms. What about those so many lawyers who are working in corporate organizations? They have their needs. Those who are working in banks, in insurance companies. So my vision for the future is where each of these lawyers is participating in some way in activities of the law society, in constituent associations of the law society, in committees. They have equal openness to for example, be available for appointments of the law society. When we nominate members, we always tend to pick people that we know. What about those other lawyers coming from the branches, from corporate? So my vision is that the Law Society of Kenya is at an exciting time, but it requires a mind shift. And that needs a change of leadership. It needs actually injection of fresh blood. And that is my blood, I believe.
And that is your blood. Weda,
my vision is, with regard to branches, in my letter to the advocates, I have proposed that the total collection, we will take 30% of that collection and divide it among branches so that they build offices, they build secretariat, and we start growing. Do you understand? But that is one. Two, I have also proposed that we'll take 10% of what we collect to be spent on growing the young lawyers. We have left them. We want to grow them. I will need, I'm looking at a vibrant law society in 5 years where every lawyer has bread and butter on the table. That's why I talked about equity of legal work. So that the lawyers are not only talking from the filled up brain, but even the tummy is equally full. There is no need why you are espousing very juicy legal issues, but your child cannot go to school because you have no school fees and you are being arrested. So that is the reason why people say there are too many lawyers. It's not that there are too many lawyers. It is because work is being done by too few people. When that equity spreads, so that even if you're in Kisumu, even if you're in Mombasa, you are sure you can be called upon also to sign the railway tender. And you see the railway tender, if you are the lawyer involved in it, the minimum legal fees below the minimum is enough to serve, to give you a pension up to your grandchildren. Okay. Now, this is the equity we are talking about, and this is what the Law Society should be fighting for. Finally, before, every act of parliament had a provision for a lawyer.
Yes.
But we lost it. Now we have APSEA, we have Sijui this, we have that. It is the lawyers who are being excluded. We must go back and reclaim where we used to be as the adversary role.
All right, I'll come back.
See that, yes.
I'll come back to you in a short while. Let's speak to Imanyara, who's calling in from Nairobi. Imanyara, good morning.
Good morning, Sophia.
Thank you for calling. Share with us your question or comment, please.
Yes, my question is to Mr. Weda.
Yes.
I have two issues in connection with what you have talked about.
Yes.
The first issue is in connection with his assertion that is in TNA, to create some political equilibrium in view of where it comes from, that is Kitu. I'm aware that in 2007, Mr. Weda was in ODM, family in ODM, and in fact he attempted to vie for a parliamentary seat in Kisumu Rural.
Yes.
On an ODM ticket.
Yes.
He even paid the necessary nomination fees.
Yes.
But when Mr. Honorable Ajanjongo was given the ticket, he left ODM in a half, and I think he even filed a suit against ODM for the recovery of his fees, which he had paid.
Right.
So I do not think he is truthful when he says that he is on the other side of the political divide for equilibrium. He is there because he was forced out of the ODM that he had chosen.
Okay, thank you.
The second issue.
Yes, very quickly, please. Yes.
Is in connection with his appointment to the tribunal.
Right.
He said that if he had an opportunity, he would advise the president at all times to stick with the law. But in this case, he accepted an appointment when he knew that he was appointed when there was a court order that had blocked the debate of the issues that were in Parliament. And I wonder, and I would like him to tell the public, what advice did he give His Excellency the President as to his appointment, in view of the fact that Parliament has been blocked by a court order, and yet he went to accept that appointment without advising the President that it would have actually arisen out of an illegality.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Imanyara. We appreciate you calling in those questions straight and square to
let
Mr.
me deal
Weda.
with that. I know Imanyara is the fellow who actually rescued Raila with the ODM party when Kalonzo ran away with ODM Kenya.
Okay, let's start with the elections.
Number one. What is clear is that I did not sue the ODM party. The only thing is that I ran on ODM party. I won square. They said Professor Nyong'o has to go back. And the party leader told me that if you feel you are big enough, go and start your party. I said, hallelujah, see you, I've left. The way I take decisions, hard decisions, I take them.
Okay.
That is one. Two, to say that I accepted appointment against a court order.
But still on the election, is that being disgruntled? Is that what led to your shift to TNA? That he also asked about that. Is it because of what happened with ODM that you then quickly jumped camp?
Now, when that happened, I realized I was in the wrong company. Do you understand? I was asked to leave. I was told you can leave. And the ideals of democracy we were espousing and the good life we were thinking, I saw was not there. So I said, what do? I must take a decision. That time, remember, there was no TNA, there was no Jubilee. Jubilee came a year too. So I left 4 years earlier. Do you understand?
Okay.
And went into the wilderness and said, you are talking about democracy, but you don't believe in it.
All right.
You understand? But now people mix them. So that is clear to that extent. Then secondly, when the president made his appointments, these appointments, you hear them on TV and radio. The appointments were made on a Friday. On Monday, there was a court order. Do you understand? That court order froze everything. There is nobody who has accepted anything. Because the way the law is, you can only take up a job upon being sworn in. So there is nothing. And some of us shared the view that instead of fighting the nascent institutions that we are building, we can as well carry on and build these institutions. So to say that I've accepted this job, I will be partisan, I am a man who takes bold decisions. If the president would flout the constitution, I would adopt what the late Jaramogi Oginga Odinga used to do. That's one of the things I admired. If he had a problem with Moi, he would write a long letter explaining what is right, what is wrong, why it should not be done. Engagement. Sometimes just making noise on TV does not help so much. You tell them, Your Excellency, under section...
So even if it works to your favor, you'd still go to the president and say, you know what, I don't agree with you, this appointment, I don't want to take up this position because it's against...
Because it will hurt me like this, it will hurt you like this, it will hurt the country like this.
Okay, we must bring this to a close. Kanjama, I want your views on this. We've heard PLO Lumumba and others talk about the campaigning for the various positions that uncharacteristic huge amounts of money have gone into, you know, swaying and getting those votes, lunch, dinner, drinks, all manner of things. So perhaps in telling us a little bit about how you've gone about your campaign, would you be one of those people that are being accused of using these huge sums of money to get the votes from your fellow colleagues?
Thank you, Sophia. I want to say that I share the same concerns that PLO Lumumba has expressed by a letter to the Council of the Law Society, which eventually was reported on, which is that if members are spending so much money as an investment to campaign, and in addition to that, using methods of, you could call it, inducing members by offering them luncheons and things of that nature, what will happen when they get elected? Wouldn't they feel that is now their time to recoup the investment? Wouldn't they feel that they've already made a lot of effort and now they can sit back and relax because they've already they received the vote after giving a consideration to members? My approach to the campaign has been very different. It has been to say that whoever is elected as chairman of LSK is going there to work hard for 2 years to serve members. So you cannot be so desperate. You cannot be showing such desperation to become chairman or to remain chairman, as the case may be, because we are 3 candidates, or to join the JSC, as the case may be, because it would be a sign that you're going there for purposes of prestige, for purposes of personal benefit, as opposed to serving the members. I think we cannot campaign like a political party. A political party, the campaigns, you go for rallies, or if it is lawyers, you go for functions where you host them, you buy them drinks, nyama choma, and all that. I believe the way we should campaign should be restrained, and it should be primarily focused on getting opportunities to spread our agenda. For example, I did suggest in the council meeting, the previous council meeting, and another council member also suggested that what we need is to have a structured mechanism whereby, for example, the Law Society of Kenya Secretariat can send out brief profiles of each of the candidates, whereby the candidates can come together the way you've tried to do for us this morning and explain their agenda to their electorate, which is the lawyers, as opposed to an agenda where everyone goes, buys the members some food, hosts a certain gathering, tries to connect with some people, but there is no genuine exchange of ideas and agenda interaction with the electorate. So I actually support that, and I think we should focus more on communicating our agenda to the members in a restrained way, which is what I have tried to do. Of course, one has to call a few people here and there. One has to send probably a bit of literature here and there, but not overdo it, and not become a political party, definitely. And if I was to become chair, I would ensure that this is the last time that our elections are done in this manner, because I believe that the chairman should only serve 1 2-year term. That has been actually the history of the Law Society of Kenya since inception. Members, chairmen have been serving 2 years. It used to be 2 terms of 1 year, and then it was changed to 1 term of 2 years. Ideally, even though now there's a possibility of one chairman being elected continuously even for 10 years.
Okay.
So what I would do if I became chairman is I would make a commitment that during my tenure, I would ensure there's an electoral level playing field, because I would not be expecting to serve more than 2 years. After 2 years, you'd be exhausted. You need to go back to your practice.
All right, thank you very much, Kanjama. Finally, Weda, your campaigns, are you the person being accused of this clash?
No. The only thing I have done is to write a letter setting out what I intend to do. I have been around long enough. I've gone through the branches. And I'm also a firm believer. I've done politics both sides. I've done the competitive one in the village where you carry bags of money. This is a professional one. My profession is here. My career is here.
Right.
Secondly, these lawyers, you can't bribe them. Some are richer than some of us. So that when you call them to an hotel, they have been to big hotels in Paris and whatever. Now, but you see the stakes are very high for some people. There is a 1.2 billion shilling building that is supposed to be built by, and is being fronted by one of the candidates. You know, that's like the railway. You'd want to shepherd something like that.
There's a railway scandal boiling somewhere in the
you'll see a building where lawyers will have to pay 52,000. That will only raise 300 million if 6,500 pay. Then 720 million lawyers will have to mortgage. Then if you don't pay, you don't get your practice certificate. When some of us say no, we are still leaking inside.
Okay.
So I am saying that as a profession, we should stop this. We should let honor and knowledge lead. A chairman of the Law Society, and I'm urging members, nobody should vote for me because I'm a Luo. Nobody should vote for me because he thinks I'm either CORD or Jubilee. Nobody should vote for me because I'm DACA. Vote for me if you think I will do a good job as chairman of the Law Society, the job of sealing the leaks.
Right.
Then after 2 years, you can Kanjama can politic easily without being told we are vetting you.
All right, Ambros, Weda, Charles, Kanjama, thank you both for being part of our show this morning, talking about what it is you hope to do for the Law Society of Kenya. As we mentioned, we had extended an invitation to Eric Mutua, who's also the incumbent and seeking re-election, but was not able to be part of the show today. So we will wait to see February the 6th, the elections, who will be LSK's next chairman. We will indeed wait and see, but you've heard from the two candidates what they had to say for what they will do and what the vision they have for the legal fraternity. We thank you for staying with us. And